Hello and welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today we're going to be reading The Magical Book, based on the story by Edith Nesbit, illustrated by Victor Tavares. The Magical Book, adapted from Edith Nesbit's The Book of Beasts by Leslie Sims, illustrated by Victor Tavares. And a nice cool red dragon here. We have the contents over here, chapter 1 to 5. Let's begin. Chapter 1, A Big Surprise. Leo lived with his granny in a tall house in the middle of town. One day, he was in his playroom when his granny rushed in. "The Chancellor and the Prime Minister are here to see you," she cried. "Me? Why?" said Leo, as she bustled him to the drawing room. Two men wearing long velvet robes bowed as Leo came in. "Sire, your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather has died," said one, who was the Chancellor, "and you're to be king." "But he died years ago," said Leo, with a puzzled frown. "He did," agreed the other man, who was the Prime Minister, "but ever since, the people have been saving up to buy a crown." "Didn't my great-however-many-grandfather have a crown?" asked Leo. "He sold it to buy books," said the Chancellor with a sigh. "He sold a lot of things to buy books." Leo had never expected to be made a king any more than you have, and it was quite a shock. "There's no time to lose," said the Chancellor, and he led Leo outside to a grand coach and whisked him away. The streets were covered with flags and so crowded with people cheering, Leo couldn't see their feet. "Long live the king! Long live Leo!" The coach drove outside a packed cathedral. Leo jumped from the coach, put on a robe, and went inside to be crowned. There he is. Being crowned is very tiring, and there's a lot of hand-kissing, so Leo was relieved when it was time to drive home to the palace. "Your Majesty," said his granny, who had already moved in, "it's time for tea." And she curtsied. What does curtsied mean? After a tea fit for a king, Leo went looking for a book to read. The palace library had more books than he had ever seen in his life. "Who owns all these?" Leo wondered out loud. Do you have any books you read at home?" "You do, sire," said the Prime Minister, who was looking up something with the Chancellor. Leo was delighted. "Then I'll read them all," he declared, going to pick up a book. "Stop!" shouted the Chancellor. "Your Majesty," he quickly added, "those books aren't, safe." "What do you mean, not safe?" said Leo. "They just look like books to me." "The problem," explained the Prime Minister, "is that the old king was, some people thought he was a wizard." "A wizard?" cried Leo. "Of course he wasn't," said the Prime Minister hastily. "But all the same, I wouldn't touch those books." "Like this one?" Leo asked. He had spotted a huge leather book that seemed to glow. Chapter 2, The Book of Beasts. The book was set with jewels. For a second, gleaming gold letters on the cover declared, "The Book of Beasts." Then they vanished. "Especially not that one," said the Prime Minister. But the book looked so inviting. Leo couldn't help opening it. On the first page, he saw a beautifully painted butterfly. "That's lovely," said Leo. As he spoke, the butterfly fluttered its red and yellow wings and flew out of the book. "It's magic!" gasped the Chancellor. Leo turned to the next page and found a bluebird. With a gentle flap of its wings, the bird flew from the page. "Enough!" shouted the Prime Minister. "You're a very naughty king." Just suppose the next creature had been a poisonous snake or a rampaging wolf, said the Chancellor, and you'd set it free. Leo blushed. I'm sorry, he whispered. That night in bed, Leo couldn't stop thinking about the book. I have to look at it again, he thought, and he crept down to the library in the moonlight. As quietly as he could, Leo climbed up the library ladder and reached out for the Book of Beasts. It was so heavy he nearly dropped it. Back on the ground, he opened its thick yellowing pages. The first page was blank, and so was the second, but on the third page was a red creature beside a palm tree, with the word dragon underneath. Leo shut the book with a bang and ran back to bed. Ooh, what do you think happens next? Chapter 3. Dragon on the Loose. The next morning, all Leo could think about was the Book of Beasts. After a quick breakfast, he took it into the garden. To his surprise, the book opened all by itself. The sun shone full on the page with the dragon. All of a sudden, the giant red beast stepped from the book, stretched out its wings, and flew away. All that was left was almost an empty page with a palm tree. Leo began to cry. He had only been king for a day, and already a dragon was roaming his country. There he is, all sad. The Prime Minister and the Chancellor came rushing from the palace to see what was wrong. When they heard what Leo had done, they were furious. Call the police! Call the firefighters! Catch the beast! But no one could find the dragon. Do you think they managed to find the dragon afterwards? That afternoon, the dragon whooshed down and ate at a park, swings, slide, and seesaw, and everyone in it. Ooh, there's the red dragon. On Saturday, he gobbled up a playing field. Ooh. And on Sunday, he swallowed an entire swimming pool. Leo was utterly miserable. The deadly dragon was all his fault. The young king was moping in the garden when he noticed the butterfly perched on a rose. Just then, the bluebird swooped past with a cheerful chirp, and Leo had an idea. Perhaps there's a creature in the book that can catch the dragon. Do you think that'll work? Chapter 4. The Manticora. Leo dashed to the library and fetched the book. Back in the garden, he opened it, the tiniest bit, to the page after the dragon page. All he could see was the end of a word, Cora. He had no idea what animal it could be, so he called for a chancellor. What animal ends in Cora? Leo asked him. The Manticora, the chancellor replied. I wish we had one now. He's the sworn enemy of dragons. But the last Manticora died years ago. Leo raced to the book and threw open the Manticora page. The beast took his time, but finally he crept from the book, sleepily rubbing his eyes. I want you to fight a dragon, ordered Leo. The Manticora gave a squeal, ran away and hid. The following day, the dragon found the Manticora hiding in the post office. There was a scuffle and a kerfuffle among the brown paper packages, then silence. A few moments later, the dragon strolled down the road, spitting sparks and Manticora fur. The dragon spent the rest of the day eating people, except for an hour at noon, when he sheltered from the sun under a tree. He was so hot already, he was in danger of catching fire. What do you think happened? The country was in uproar. Lear realized he would have to do something. So he took the Book of Beasts into the garden and opened it up once more. Chapter 5. Lear to the Rescue. Hippogriff. Lear read and watched as the picture came to life. With a neigh and a shake of his snowy mane, a graceful white creature stepped out onto the lawn. He looked just like a horse, except for one thing. Sticking up from his back were two enormous feathery wings. Lear went to stroke his velvety nose, and the hippogriff nuzzled Lear's neck. "That tickles." Suddenly, a shadow fell over the palace garden. Lear looked up. The glutinous dragon was flying to his next meal. What do you think the next meal could be? "We have to distract him," Lear whispered into the hippogriff's ear. He scrambled onto the creature's smooth white back. "Fly as fast as you can to the pebbly waste." The hippogriff beat his strong wings and rose into the sky. Just as Lear hoped, the dragon spotted them and spun around to follow. The dragon flapped his wings faster and faster, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't catch up with Lear and the hippogriff. They flew on and on and on, some more until, at last, the barren pebbly waste lay below them. The pebbly waste is just like the stoniest beach you have ever visited without the sea. There are no trees, there isn't even any grass, nothing but pebbles stretching into the distance. The hippogriff swooped down, his hooves landing with a clatter on the stones. Lear hopped off his back, just long enough to lay the Book of Beasts on the pebbles, open at the dragon's page. As he jumped back on the hippogriff, the dragon arrived. He was flying slowly, looking very hot indeed. Sweat sizzled on its scales. The sun was blazing fiercely, and the dragon looked around for a tree to shelter under. But the only tree he could see was the painted palm tree in the Book of Beasts. The dragon flew onto the pebbles and lay panting beside the book. The sun shone hotter than ever, and the dragon's skin began to smoke. With a desperate roar, the dragon squeezed himself back into the book and settled under the painted palm tree. Lear leaped from the hippogriff, snatched up the book, and slammed it shut. "Got him!" Holding the book tight, he turned to the hippogriff. "You're the best and bravest, most—" A cheer broke out, and Lear turned in surprise. Standing behind him were everyone and everything the dragon had eaten. The pebbly waste was crowded. You see, the dragon could only just fit in the book himself, so he had to leave everything else outside. Well, that's a relief. "Dear hippogriff," said Lear, "could you carry everyone home?" And then the hippogriff did. Of course, it took 50 journeys, but everyone left behind had plenty to do while they waited. Which activity would you do if you had that much time to wait? Would you go around the merry-go-round? Or in the pool? Maybe the swings? The manticore decided he would rather live in the book and crept back to his page, carefully avoiding the dragon. And the hippogriff became a member of the royal household, carrying Lear whenever he went on royal tours. As for the red and yellow butterfly and the bluebird, they are still fluttering and singing in the royal garden to this day. And here's Edith Nesbit. This book was based off of hers. See? Based on the story by E. Nesbit. Edith Nesbit wrote her books 100 years ago, when most people rode by horse and not car, and television hadn't been invented. Her stories are full of excitement, adventure, and magic. The original versions are much longer than the young reading books, and they may seem a little old-fashioned, but they're still well worth reading. The story in this book was originally called The Book of Beasts. You may have been surprised by the hippogriff. This is usually a cross between a griffin, which is a half eagle, half lion, and a horse, but E. Nesbit's hippogriff was simply a flying horse. And that's the magical book. So what do you think was the overall message from this book? What's one thing you learnt? Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye bye.